In the last video, we finished up creating our staging models, and now we're ready to push these changes to our GitHub repository and get them to the main branch for the rest of our team to work on. So the first thing we need to do is first, let's see which branch we're on. If we do git branch, we can see we're on main. And as we mentioned, we don't want to merge directly to main. We want to create our own branch and then merge it through GitHub. That way you're not introducing things without the rest of your team knowing what you're doing. So let's first create a branch. We can do this because we haven't actually committed or added anything. We'll do git branch -m, and we'll call this stage model build. So now if we do git branch again, we can see we are on this branch, and we can go through this way now because we talked about the different ways you could do this. And I'm going to say adding staging models and proj layout, because we did add some of those other things. We could commit these individually, but I'm going to do it all at once for sake of time. And commit, now git push origin head. Remember, we talked about these earlier. Now let's go back to our DBT training, and we can see here it says staging model build has a recent push less than a minute ago, because if we look at main, it's just these initial commits. We don't have everything we just did. But if we go to compare and pull request, I'm not going to talk too much about the specifics of pull requests. That's a separate topic on GitHub all on its own. So I'm not going to add any descriptions or anything here, but these are things that you could and should definitely update and have different templates and all this stuff. But we're just going to keep this as is and create a pull request. And what we can see here is we can see all the files that were changed and all the line by line changes, the different commits that we had. So in this case, we just did that one commit, but if you were working on something and you had multiple commits, it would come through here. Again, don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's go ahead. And this is what's going to allow us to merge into main from our staging build. And ideally, this is something that you would send to your team. They would review your code and approve it. You'd have a number of approvals that you need to get through, and then ultimately merge it. Again, there's a lot to talk about with GitHub, but the things to remember is you commit to your branch, you have your team review it, you create these pull requests, and then eventually go through here to merge it into main. And we can see here it was successfully merged, and we can delete this branch. So let's go ahead and delete it. We don't need it anymore. That's just going to delete it on GitHub. Technically, it's still local. But if we go back to main now, we can see 2 minutes ago we had this change, and our new project layout is here with all these files. And if we go back to our local, we can see we're still on staging build, but we don't really want that anymore. Let's do a git checkout main. So now we're switched to main. And if we do a git pull, now locally, we've just pulled all of these changes, because by default, it doesn't automatically update. We have to trigger it. Git pull brings all these changes. And since we're working on our main branch, we can see the current version of it, and that's what we just built. So we're all set there. And that's how you merge your changes through GitHub and get your project up to date for the rest of your team.